Evening. So, obviously, obviously climbing hole review. We're still here. We rebranded to be outdoor gear review, and you know, we've moved into a larger world of stuff. So good. My fingers are getting better. We're working on it. But what I want to talk about in our first actual gear review, and don't worry, there's some holds and some climbing stuff coming, and there's a bunch of stuff coming. You know, I'm still climbing. Don't worry, I'm still climbing. Is the Biolite Campstove 2. Now, there's been a bunch of reviews on these things. You know, boiling water tests where you get these big long videos with these guys doing stuff with water and they're pretty good videos, but you know what we're like. Handle. Pory spout. We like to go a little bit further and a little bit better. And I've written a bunch of notes because, you know, new subject. So this is the Campstove 2. This is actually the kettle that the Campstove 2 sits inside. And if you let me open it up quickly for you, what you'll find inside is your actual Campstove 2, which is this little guy. This is the burn chamber, and this is actually a fan plus a battery plus a bunch of other things which I'll explain. They go together pretty easily. Just slots in, you pull out the feet, lock this little bugger in, and you're good to go. The setup is actually that easy. Now what you're looking at is a burn chamber like this, and it's quite dirty because I've been using it a whole bunch. It's a burn chamber, and it's got 51 holes in it, I believe, or 51 what they call jets. And basically what you have is a great big 26 milliamp hour battery on the side. Now we will do a comparison between the Campstove 1 and Campstove 2, but we're just looking at this because we've actually not got around to it. Now the reason this came up and the reason why we're actually doing this review is because I bought it because I wanted to go and I was out camping and I wanted a new stove. I've got a big propane stove which we'll do a review on. It's because these guys, the Biolite fuel pellets, and they're pretty interesting. But let me fire through the stove, and the reason why I really want to do this review is because of this, because I was very intrigued. I always like to test manufacturers' claims about what their shit does, and this is it. So, small stove, the kettle, as you can see in the picture, which will be over here, sits on top, and there's a bunch of different accessories. We'll talk about them. The beautiful thing about this is it actually has a USB out on it. So what you have is, while the stove is actually burning, what it does is creates a thermodynamic reaction, and it allows you to actually charge things whilst you're cooking, which in essence is a very good thing, but in reality, and we'll talk about reality, it's a different. Now what you've got on this is three different lights. You have the intensity or the strength of your fire when this is actually burning. You have your fan speed, because you do have a fan that you can actually turn on and turn off as you wish, and I'll turn it on for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, full fan, and you drop it down, and then you've got a battery charge indicator. This will turn off eventually. It does take a little while. It's like hold the button and it does turn off. Now what you do is you put your fuel in this, you light it, get it going, hit the fan, it creates these nice vortices, and it's actually a very efficient burning system. It really is a very, very efficient burning system. Now what I wanted to do, and it packs up like that and then goes in the kettle, which is quite. What I wanted to do, it was talk about these guys, because Biolite has a big team of engineers behind them, and they claim that a bag of these fuel pellets, which I bought, I think I bought a 4-pack for $20, which was $20 US plus shipping. So thing. But what's really interesting is they say one bag of this equals 2 like small little crappy canisters of gas. it's a premium blend of all natural fibres, and what's really interesting is what they say. They say this bag of fuel will burn for 2 hours and will actually boil 15 litres of water. That's what it says on the front. Now the instructions are pretty easy, is chuck them into your camp stove, but don't fill up the top 2 rows of holes in the top. Add the fire starters, which are actually in the bag. There's little fire starter chips in here. Light with a match or a lighter, and away you go and use the camp stove as you normally would. Now, I went out and I did a bunch of serious testing on these guys with the stove, which I've used before. So we'll talk about the stove. The stove itself is $129.95, I believe, right? So this little thing here in its bag is $129.95 US, which is pretty expensive for a stove. You know, you can buy propane stoves. I bought propane stoves for way less than that. And the fuel is what, $20 US for 4 bags. Now, for $199.95, you get the kettle, which is this thing, which also doubles as a pot. So you get the kettle with its lid, which also doubles as a pot. And you also get the grill, which you can see in this picture here again. You actually get the grill, and then you get a little light that goes in the USB, and you can just touch the back of it and it turns on and turns off. So like the grill by itself is $60 US. The kettle by itself is $50 US. So if you're buying the stove for $129, you might as well go $199. Get the barbecue grill. It's very good. It works really well. Get the kettle and get the light and the nice handles and everything, and it does work. So, the stove's expensive, $130. That's not cheap by any means. Whoa! That's not cheap by any means. You can buy a Coleman Firestarter Grill XL Terminator or something, whatever it's called, for like $60. And that's Canadian, not US. So, you can say, but the beautiful thing about the camp stove too is it burns on anything. Now, in the picture I showed you where I'm cooking asparagus and bavette, I was firing that off of tinder sticks and stuff I found on the floor, and it worked really well. You have to fuel it. You have to put a lot of fuel in it and keep it going. And I never really got the fire up above, mid-level with that. And that's one of the things. This is a stove. It's a very, very, very good stove, but it's not like a propane stove. You can't just stick your pot on, light it, walk away, go do whatever you want. You can't do that because it needs a little bit of TLC. It's like tending a campfire, especially if you're putting in sticks. Now, if you want to burn this for 2 hours, you want about 2 carrier bags worth of sticks to actually burn to go. Or you can use the wood pellets like I did, and you can actually see how it goes. So they say a bag of wood pellets will burn for 2 hours. My first attempt, yes, I burned actually for 2 hours and 45 minutes. It actually went really well, and they say you can boil 15 litres of water. My first attempt, I only managed to boil 8 litres of water. So I'm like, okay, this is not good. Let's see what's up. So we went back and we did the test again. And yes, I burnt the fire and the fuel for over 2 hours. The reason why the first test actually failed is because if you make a mistake, like with the wood pellets, once you've got them going, at some point the fire's going to drop down, you'll see the fire indicator come down, and you'll need to add more pellets. There's a little video up here. The problem is if you add too many pellets, what happens is the fire just kills itself. It's dead, it's done. And in those cases you can just leave it and hopefully it'll reignite, or what I do is I just bang the fan, get some more oxygen in it, and hopefully, and it does, when it reignites, it's like a turbo, it's like an afterburner on a jet. It's like boom, and it's like there you can see it, boom, it comes straight back. But the first time I did it, I made a few little silly errors with my fire. I wasn't looking after it enough, and I actually overfueled it. Now when I was burning natural stuff, just sticks and stuff, it's very hard to actually kill the fire because, with the pellets, you've got a base in there and you put more in and you can kill the flame really quickly. With wood, you're just putting it in, and when you've got the grill on top, which has a hole, you can just, you're cooking and you can just put wood in as you need, and it's perfectly fine. It's actually much easier to use this stove, I find, on just wood you pick up off the ground, or that you buy and you break up and stick into a thing. It's actually much easier. Now, the wood pellets work, and they do burn, and everything they say. Second time I think we boiled 16 litres of water, and we were close to burning 17. So what they say on this bag is actually true. It's nice to say that. I went through going, this is crap. This is not going to happen. This is not going to work. This is going to suck. No, it worked really well, and it did actually burn for 2 hours. We've actually burnt for much longer. And at certain times during the process, because all I was doing was putting water on top, full litre, boiling it open, no lid. So if you actually put the lid on this, if you actually keep the lid on this, of course it'll actually boil much faster. But I did it in the worst circumstances, which is open pot, no lid, away you go, is exactly what I did. And we still managed to almost boil 17 litres of water without using the lid. Now in the third test we put the lid on, and we boiled 18 or 19 litres of water. I'm not entirely sure what it was that we actually boiled, but it was actually about 19 litres of water. And that's with a little bit of TLC on the fire, because like I said, you can't just walk away from this thing and go, okay, it'll be fine. You can, if it's going well and the fire's up pretty high and the fan's good, you can walk away for a bit, but understand that when you're actually, going through and burning, it does go through fuel like a motherfucker. Like, it does. You really need to put fuel in this. Now, one of the things that annoys me, and I'll talk about the stove. The stove is 2.2 pounds. It's small. It's all encased in the kettle. It's all one big thing, and it's great. If you get over the price and whatever else, it's a really great stove to actually have in your repertoire when you're camping, because you can just pull it out, stick whatever you find in it. It's going to burn leaves really quickly, but if you can find little sticks and put them in and keep them, yay big, you're going to have a great fire. You can boil water. You can actually charge your phone off of this. Now, getting the battery to charge, and I've done it a few times where I actually charge the battery before I leave the house now, so I've got a full charging made to do anything. If you've got a battery that's dead, it'll always keep enough charge to start the fan to keep the fire going and get you started. But actually getting the battery to charge off of the fire is I've found to be nigh on impossible. I've never really got it to go above 3 bars, and when you think about 3 bars on this, nothing's here and 3's here, this right now is full charge, but I've never got it to go above 3, and 1 is the absolute base, and there's another, 5 LEDs on that. I've never actually managed to get it to charge to a point where, and even just sitting, burning something and not cooking anything, just throwing fuel in it to get some battery life in it, it's hard. So my advice is always leave with your battery charged, because if you do need to charge something, you're going to burn half the forest down to actually try and get it to pick your iPhone. And when your iPhone's dead, and we've done this, iPhone dead, plug it in on a dead battery, you're looking at about 45 minutes to an hour to even get it to pick your phone from the dead screen to actually a point where you can actually use the phone and maybe make an emergency phone call. So always leave with the battery charged. Again, the fire's hard to tend. It's not like, hey, boom, go, walk away from it. It's not. And the other thing that gripes me a little bit is it's $8.95. Was it $8.95? It's a bunch of money for the wood pellets. You get a 4-pack. It's great. You pay shipping. It's expensive. When you can buy a £40 bag of compressed wood chips exactly for this purpose for what was it? Oh yeah, $6 a Canadian Tire. So if you're going out camping for the weekend, buy a bag for $6 because it's way cheaper, and then just supplement that $6 and the £40 of wood pellets you have with you just by using it. Like just wood pellets, wood pellets, wood pellets, wood, and you'll be fine. You'll need some fire starters, but light a fire starter, chuck it on top, or and a few pellets on top, and you're pretty much good to go. Bang the fan to level 1 and it'll pick the fire, and you'll see it does this really beautiful vertice. It's actually a beautiful stove. It's well engineered. Is it good for its price? Yes, it's a complete toss up, because you can buy cheaper stuff. You can buy a Primus, you can buy a Trango, you can buy a whole bunch of much smaller stoves that will actually do the same job, but you're actually carrying flammable liquids with you. And one of the things with Biolite is every single thing you buy, they give to a third world country or they give to people in need. So it's actually supporting a really good cause, and it is an ethical thing. I'm burning compressed wood pellets which are recycled rather than using gas, so I'm actually a little bit cleaner for the environment. Now, one of the other things they say, I think it says it in the bag, yeah, burn wood not gas is actually one of the things for this, and they also say that the stove is smokeless. Now this is a bit of a, yeah, is it smokeless? Yes. If you don't make a mistake and extinguish the fire like I did with the pellets, and here's a picture of what happened, that's a lot of smoke. Now, normally with the stove, I just let it burn down and there's no smoke. If you've got a good fire and you've done, you just set it and it will burn itself down and it's fine, and there's practically no smoke. Of course, if you're burning something a little bit wet, there's going to be a little bit of smoke or whatever, but you know, not so much you'd really notice, you know, campfires blows in your face or whatever. But if you make a mistake with this thing and the fire gets slightly extinguished with the fan, it's going to smoke, and it's going to smoke a lot. So the one claim I can actually say with these guys, and actually with this, is it smokeless? Yeah, I'd mythbuster it. It's like, yeah, maybe. It's smokeless until you make a mistake. Other than that, you've got it going in your cooking. This thing, smokeless the entire time, and it's absolutely perfect. We are going to do a comparison between the Biolite stove, the original, and this one when I catch up with Martin. I've been trying to film this thing for weeks and weeks and weeks, but blew up a camera, had other things to do, you know, life, it's the way it is. But the Biolite stove, it's this big. It fits in this. This comes with a carry bag, so you put it in a carry bag and then stick it in this with the nozzle actually out through the thing, get it lined up correctly, and then it's got its own carry bag, so it's all contained. It is very clean. It doesn't create much ash. It doesn't create much mess, and it's a very ecological, if a little bit expensive, solution to a stove. Now, if you're out and you're cooking for more than say 2 people, I'd say no. This is not a good stove for you. It's going to be hard. You know, we cooked asparagus and bavette one night on it. When we were out at Mont Tremblant, it was like minus 2 degrees in the middle of summer. It was awesome. Perfect for 2 people. Perfect if you're boiling water, and in the morning, rather than fire up my propane stove, I'd fire this up and boil my water on this. You know, trying to leave no trace in the forest as much as humanly possible. But if it's more than 2 people, it's probably not the best solution for you. There are other solutions, and you know, there are other things from Biolite, like they have a fire pit, ponk, coming out very soon. I like their product so much that I invested in the Kickstarter for this, and I actually got the version where I get 2 of these fire pits, and I don't know what I'm going to do with the second one. Maybe I'll give it away on here when it comes, which will be July in 2018, I think. I like their stuff so much, I'm supporting them on Kickstarter, because what they're doing ethically and engineering wise is just bloody genius. They've got a lot of really good solutions on their website. They've got some really great solar panels. They've got some great battery solutions. They've got some great lighting solutions. I have the nano lights. I have their I have a bunch of their stuff. I have the stick snapper. I have the grill for this thing, which is great. I've got the nano lights, I think they're called. I've got their tent, which the tent light where I can actually plug my lights in and do a daisy chain. So, Campstove 2. It's a good stove, but it's a bit expensive. But you're not knackering the environment every single time you use it by using propane. But you need to know, so there's pluses and minuses. You're not using propane. You can use stuff off of the ground, but it does need work, and you can't just walk away and leave it. And it isn't smokeless when you get it wrong. And believe me, the first few times you use this stove, you will get it wrong, and you will be creating great big plumes of smoke all over the place. But their fuel does burn for 2 hours, and it will burn 15 litres of fuel, which I'm really happy with, because that was the one thing I was like, nah, never going to work. And it did work, and every single time, you know, lid off every single time after I got the fire and learned how to use this thing. There is a learning curve. It's not simple, there is a learning curve, and once you've got that learning curve, you're done. You could start a fire in seconds, and you can have water boiling, and they say 4.5 minutes to boil a litre of water. I've actually done it in less time. You know, they're doing optimal conditions. I've actually done it in less time than that, quite easily. If I've let the fire start and get really good and really got my fire going, I can get it down to less than 3 minutes for a litre of water, which is really quite impressive considering this is burning wood pellets, it's not burning, you know, propane. Of course, propane, you can boil a litre of water in, you know, less than 2 minutes easily, but I'm down to less than 3, and I'm not knackering the environment doing it. So that's a quick thing on the camp stove. You know, we'll post up a bunch of pictures. This thing's well engineered and it's bomb proof, and I carry it around quite a lot. It's the first one we've done. It's a learning process for us after doing what we're doing. So it's going to be a little bit slow, a little bit steady. I've got a whole, if you look over here and you can't see it, there's a whole pile of stuff to review. There's 2 tents, a Coleman grill, the Goal Zero Yeti, you know, Coleman chairs, you know, stuff that I've gone out and bought because I camp, and I camp when I'm climbing. But now we're gonna sit down and do reviews and talk about it and tell you what's good to buy, what are the pros and cons, why should you buy this thing, you know, and look at the pluses and minuses of everything. It's what we've been doing for 10 years on Climbing Hold Review, and don't worry, there are some holds coming, and there are some hangboard reviews coming. Don't worry, haven't stopped climbing. There's a lot of good stuff coming. It's going to take us a little while to get it out and figure out the format, but we're going to be YouTube based. We're not doing the blog anymore. Anything climbing related will go in the little folders. You can see there's folders for stuff. You know, we've got some hiking boot reviews, the Keen Pyrenees. You know, I've had 3 pairs of these. I'm on my 4th pair now. Great boots. I'm wearing them right now. What else have we got? Oh, we got everything. Just anything and everything you can think of, camping and outdoor related. At some point we're going to get our hands dirty and we're going to do it. But the Camp Stove 2 from Biolite, it's an investment, but it's a worthy investment. It's a great, I wouldn't even call it a gadget, it's a great tool for your camping repertoire. It's worth looking at, and you know, if you're looking, go look on YouTube, find the guys. This guys have done his like full water boils and everything else. Go look, because there are a lot of outdoor gear stroke survivalist stroke end of the world zombie apocalypse guys that really love this product, and I love it too. It's really quite nice, and it's always in my car in case I need it in an emergency, but the battery's always charged. You guys stay beautiful, please subscribe, and I'll get back to you very soon with another review. Peace.